Rock and roll was never meant to be perfect. It was never about clean lines or polished edges. It was about the noise between the notes, the imperfection that made it human. That's where Neil Young lived, in the crack, in the rust, in the place where beauty and damage meet. Some artists chase perfection their whole lives, sanding down every rough edge until nothing real remains. Neil Young ran in the other direction. He learned early that truth has a sound. It isn't pretty, but it lasts. When he picked up a guitar, it didn't sing. It cried, it moaned, it argued with him, and he argued back until something honest broke through. That's what rock and roll is all about. Not precision, not safety. Feeling. And this story is about the 7 albums that shaped that feeling. The 7 records that taught Neil Young how to trust noise, embrace mistakes, and never apologize for being raw. Neil never learned to play pretty. He learned to play true. While others polished their sound until it gleamed under studio lights, he kept the rust. He wanted the sound of sweat, of metal on wood, of a heart slightly out of tune. Because that's what being alive feels like. His heroes were the ones who made mistakes and kept them in the mix, who refused to lie to the listener. The kind of artists who bled on their records, who didn't just perform a song but lived inside it until it burned. These were the teachers who showed him that one honest note is worth more than 1,000 perfect ones. And through their music, Neil Young discovered who he was meant to be: a seeker, a rebel, a truth teller with a broken guitar. The first teacher was Hank Williams. When Neil Young first heard Hank, something ancient stirred inside him. Hank's voice carried loneliness that needed no translation. You didn't have to understand every word to feel it. His songs were simple, but inside that simplicity was the whole human condition. Heartbreak, drinking, leaving, praying, failing, trying again. Hank sang about sorrow like he had invented it. I'm so lonesome I could cry. Didn't need explanation. You felt it in your bones. Your cheating heart told the story everyone knew, but nobody wanted to say out loud. There were no metaphors, no fancy production. Just a man, a guitar, and the unbearable weight of being human. Neil understood right away. You don't have to complicate pain, just tell it straight and let it hurt. Hank Williams died young, burned out at 29, but his songs never aged. They lived forever because they told the truth. Neil carried that lesson his entire career. Don't pretty it up. Don't sand down the edges. Let people hear the break in your voice. Later, when he wrote Helpless or Only Love Can Break Your Heart, you could hear Hank standing behind him whispering, "Tell it straight. Don't hide from the hurt." Then came Bob Dylan, the poet who turned words into weapons. When The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan came out in 1963, the world tilted on its axis. Dylan didn't sing to please anyone. His voice was nasal, raw, defiant, the sound of a man who refused to conform. For a young Neil Young still playing in Canadian bar bands, this was a revelation. Here was someone showing that you didn't need a perfect voice to speak truth. Blowin' in the Wind asked questions the world was afraid to answer. A Hard Rain's a Gonna Fall sounded like prophecy, and Don't Think Twice, It's All Right showed that love could end without melodrama. Dylan taught Neil that songs could matter, not just entertain, but challenge. He wasn't afraid to make people uncomfortable. The folk scene wanted simple protest songs, but Dylan gave them complexity and contradictions. He didn't care about being liked. He cared about being honest. That fearlessness burned into Neil's soul. You can hear it in Ohio and Southern Man, songs that didn't ask permission, songs that said what needed saying. Dylan showed him that music could be a hammer, and sometimes the world needed to be hit. In 1965, another earthquake, Rubber Soul. The Beatles grew up overnight. They stepped away from screaming fans and into uncharted territory. Neil Young listened in awe as 4 pop idols turned into explorers. Norwegian wood, mixed folk with mysticism, in my life, looked backward and forward at the same time. Nowhere Man asked the questions every artist secretly fears. The Beatles sounded unsure, but that uncertainty was beautiful. It was searching. Every song felt like a risk, a conversation between what they were and what they could become. Neil learned that growth isn't betrayal, it's survival. You don't stay an artist by repeating yourself. You stay one by daring to evolve, even when the world begs you to stay the same. When the Beatles could have cashed endless hits, they chose curiosity. Neil took that to heart. When he made Harvest and then immediately followed it with the raw chaos of Time Fades Away, that was Rubber Soul talking, a refusal to play it safe.